Hello, hello! Bl'Art here with Dare to Defy 7, the Lithely Moves the Tail Cloud of Darkness Raid Redux fight. We finally did it. This is the final fight of the, hopefully first, but if not, only Dare to Defy event. Managed to get through all 7 fights. It's pretty exciting stuff. Pretty cool. I've enjoyed the journey. So how are we finishing things up here? We got Sherlotta, we got Ramza, and we got Galuf. Before we get too deep into it, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, ring that notification bell, leave a comment down below, you know the whole drill. We're working our way towards 1,000 subscribers, and any help you can spare in terms of driving up those engagement numbers and making that YouTube algorithm favor that journey would be much appreciated. So, what do we got going on in this fight? I think it might have caught a few people off guard, because it's an interesting fight we got here. We got these little scorpion dudes, crawdads or whatever they are, crawtails, I don't know. And they hit you with that tail drill move right there. And what that does, it's a brave attack that reduces your max hit points. And then after that, they do scissor grab, which is an HP attack. And if you have reduced HP, then that HP attack is probably going to kill you, unless you have, special circumstances for your team. And that's what we have Galuf here for. He is very good in this fight. Nearly everything they do is single target, and he just kind of ignores all of it and counters them, and most of the time gets that second counter too, because it's mostly physical. So he's just going to be great here. Kind of funny, actually, in hindsight. It's a delay fight in theory because of Cloud of Darkness and Setzer, but in practice, Galuf, old Galuf, he does the job quite nicely, you'll see. We also have Ramza there. Nothing too crazy to report with Ramza. He's actually also really good for this fight, but, mostly because Ramza's really good. He has the special HP attack, he has, which is great for Sherlotta's kit. He has the launches, the delays, which are really handy for the mechanic of this fight. The only real mechanic beyond that max hit point down rotation that I mentioned, which is at 80% and 20%. The bosses are going to each individually, when they go hit that threshold, they're going to get a yellow aura and regen a lot of hit points every action, similar to the Transcendence Tier 10 fight, except you can make it go away by delaying that enemy. So really, I guess, trying to sell Cloud of Darkness or whatever, but, as luck would have it, we have a ton of access to different ways to delay. In addition to Ramza's LD, we are bringing 3 different calls that do the job, so that should hopefully get us there. It can be a little tricky to get them both below the threshold at once with an AoE delay lined up, so, it's definitely possible that you're going to eat a few turns of recovery, but it's okay. Nothing you can't recover from. You'll see here, not the greatest lineup right here. Kind of a pain. But yeah, the enemy's force time is honestly kind of weird. Their gradual force build up. You know how every enemy, they have some gimmick that gets stronger as their force gauge builds up. These guys, they get faster and faster and faster and lower your turn rate as well. So they're taking more and more turns, which is, again, really weird for a delay fight, because, you aren't really punished by letting the bosses get turns. There we go. There's that delay we talked about. Thanks, Cypher. You're actually really incentivized to run an off-turn damage team, because they take so many turns during the force time with no mitigations. So look, Galuf is going to be pumping out crazy numbers over the course of the fight. Speaking of crazy numbers, we got Sherlotta here. We're going to I make a small blunder here, I think, by opening with Reigns, because you'll see how this shakes out. It doesn't work exactly as I should have. I maybe should have saved Reigns for later, after I used her at FR, but we're going to go ahead and use Crystal Dice right now. I think a lot of people, the whole skip Sherlotta from Lunar Frey, I think they really misunderstood how Sherlotta works as a character. She's fairly unique, I find. Was put pretty well. She is a DPS masquerading as a support, which is, I think, very accurate. She has tremendous auras, which is great. Great BT effect, which is great. And good non-BT effect, or good regular auras too, which is quite nice. But really, the appeal of the character is what you want to do is you want to line up a super chunky FR-fueled burst phase, which is what we're doing now. We have loaded up on her HP, the special Chuck staff from her LD. And we're going to be spamming that Reigns call in force time, and that's how we're going to be doing the Mondo numbers. Now, if my Sherlotta was green, I would have stacked that BT effect in there for the sweet, the gains and the cap up and all that jazz, and we would have just blown these guys to Kingdom Come. Since I'm a miserly fellow, we do not have the green, but it's okay. You're gonna see here what I mean when I say I mistimed things slightly. I feel like we could have maybe possibly landed things a little bit better with the FR time. Like maybe we might have, I don't know, landed with the finisher hitting for the max damage or something like that. Or given them a couple of extra turns. I'm not sure if that would have shaken out, but anyway, I'm not gonna begrudge it. The point being, I'm hearing here and there folks saying, oh, I regretted picking up Sherlotta. I kind of wish I didn't get this character. And I think the people who are regretting her aren't really utilizing her right. They're not investing in her because you treat her like a DPS. You build her, you give her the ultimate weapon, you know, the blue armor, the green, whatever. Green BT, unless you're me, apparently. But the reason you do that is because she's a DPS character. She's a damage dealer. She's going to be dealing a huge amount of damage in her force time burst phase, and you're building for that. You're not treating her as as just like a pure aura support, even though she does bring that in spades. It's actually kind of unusual to have a character with such good auras that does such good damage. Like usually you get one or the other. So we are inching our way down now, trying to make up for the fact that we had a bunch of launches in a row on B, and so now A is really kind of outpacing B in terms of health, and that's a problem if we want to do that AoE delay. I also did a total blunder there. I really shouldn't have done that. I delayed with Seymour's LD call there in order to get that extra damage, but I really should have probably hung on to the call in case I needed it later. As luck would have it, it all works out in the end, as you probably imagined. The reason Seymour, by the way, is on Ramza is as opposed to Galuf is because Seymour's call only delays once, and Ramza can self-delay, whereas Cypher call delays twice, and Galuf can't delay. That's the thinking there. So we're continuing. With Galuf's off-turn damage, this is a little stressful because it's getting pretty apparent that B is probably going to get pushed below the threshold before A, and that's just kind of a hassle. Gonna have to do something suboptimal in all likelihood to make good on that. It's okay. We will do the best that we can. Another enemy force time, which we are not really bothered by because that just means, hey, more enemy turns for Galuf to counter on. It is a little. The only problem with it, of course, is that it means we really are losing a little bit of control over what happens because the enemies are just proccing counters willy-nilly. So you see here, like, pretty obvious what's about to happen. Luckily, A has been quite B has been quite pushed down, so we're actually going to pull Galuf up here real quick in hopes of desperately putting A closer to B with that range base call. Obviously, it did not do the job, and I toyed with using Sherlotta's force time there, but I decided not to. Instead, we're just going to actually use Cypher's LD call here and get rid of just B's recovery. And we'll let Ramza handle the other side of that. Unfortunately, not quite how I was hoping this would shake out. We landed just shy, and I'm going to use the LD call here with Seymour in order to try to push him below 20%. Unfortunately, it did not do the job, and so now I'm stuck here figuring out what to do. And I decided, you know what, we'll just skip a turn with Ramza to reapply our buffs, and then we will go into the force time. And we'll just have Ramza go ahead and delay A on his turn, and we'll just eat the absorb in the meantime. So with Galuf, we're going to go ahead and use his special HP attack on B real quick, just because most of his attack, his LD damage with an AoE has been eaten. I actually forget about the HP damage reduction here, so I launched the wrong target. We lose out on a bunch of damage there, but that's okay. Pretty simple now, though. We're going to use Ifrit to raise our HP cap with Hellfire. We're going to chuck Staff, a bunch of damage, and launch him too once again. And now comes the interesting part with certain Sherlotta teams when you're doing the second force time is, do you use your shitty HP plus attacks on the characters that don't have really good HP plus attacks, or do you take advantage of the force time with a hard-hitting move? In that case, I went an LD with Galuf and then decided, you know what, Ramza, we're going to save his EX and actually use his basic HP plus in order to boost our force gauge. The exponential scaling of a force gauge is really, really powerful and easy to overlook, so you don't want to do that. You really want to take advantage of that damage. So the enemy's still in force time there, which is great because that means lots of enemy turns for Galuf to take advantage of our force time and do a bunch of off-turn damage. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and finish them off right here in the off-turn. Hey, Galuf. there you have it. Dare to Defy out of the way. The entire thing is done. I still need to do the ticket mission for the actual fight, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.